Here are the parts of the brain you need to know for the AP Psychology exam in 3 minutes. The cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex is everything you can see when you take a skull away from a brain. It basically is this gray outer laying of the brain. And there are different lobes of this cortex. The first lobe is the frontal lobe, which is right here. This has to do with motor movements, behavior, expressive language, and decision making. This is where you'll find the motor cortex. All voluntary movement is through that cortex. The next part of the brain is the parietal lobe. This is where your somatosensory cortex is. All sensation and touch is through the parietal cortex. Think when your parents hug you, the part that they rest their chin on is the parietal cortex. It's parietal and parent, very similar words. The next is the occipital lobe. Occipital lobe is everything to do with sight. This is where your visual cortex is. All visual information is processed here. This is in the back of your brain, not near your eyes. Moving on is the temporal lobe. This is where the auditory cortex is. It's everything to do with hearing. It's right next to your ears. So that is the cerebral cortex. And a good way to remember that is FPOT, FPOT. Next is the brainstem. The brainstem is comprised of a ton of different sections. The first being the medulla. The medulla controls heart rate and breathing. It is where your sensory and motor pathways cross. Kanye West references the medulla in his song All Mine. He's basically saying that this girl makes his heart beat faster and he loses his breath when he sees her. A good way to remember medulla is that song, heart rate and breathing. The next is the reticular formation. This is like a pencil-shaped thing running along your brainstem. This is the core of the brainstem. Think reticular formation is the foundation of your brainstem. It arouses your cerebral cortex, the FPOTs, and it makes it so you are alive. Past years there have been questions, damage to blank ends in coma or death. Reticular formation. If this is damaged, you will die or go into a coma that is irreversible for the most part. The next is pons. A good way to remember this is pond. Pons relax you. Pons, it sends you into sleep. It has a lot to do with sleep and relaxation. It also has to do with fine motor movement, but they don't really get into that. It's mostly just pons, relaxation. Next is the thalamus. The thalamus is at the top of your brainstem. This is like your motherboard. It sends all the information that your body is giving to your brain and sends it where it needs to go. This is also really important. The brainstem connects to the cerebellum, which is a mini brain on the top of your brainstem. Cerebellum does a lot of things, but the AP test really only connects it to balance and coordinated movements. Next is the Broca's area. Broca's area, speech production, and Wernicke's area, which is language comprehension. Those two go hand in hand. Speech and language. Think Broca, speech. Broca is a shorter word, speech is a shorter word. Wernicke, long. It's a lot to comprehend. Language comprehension. Next page. This is the limbic system. Limbic system has a lot to do with emotion and behavior. Like the brainstem, there's lots of parts of the limbic system. First is the hippocampus. Hippocampus, long-term memory. Think if you were to see a hippo on campus, you would remember that forever. Next, amygdala. This is mainly to do with emotion, mostly fear and aggression. Think of this chick named Amy. Amy is a woman, very emotional woman. Amygdala, emotion. You just gotta remember fear and aggression. Next is the hypothalamus. Do not get this confused with the thalamus on the brainstem. Hypothalamus is a testing center. It tests your blood. It tries to keep us in homeostasis. It has a lot to do with regulating body temperature and hunger. Next is the corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is the part that connects the two brain hemispheres. In corpus callosum is the word call. This side of your brain hemisphere needs to call this side of your brain hemisphere in order to communicate. This is how this side of the brain communicates with that side of the brain. But for people who experience epilepsies and seizures, there's too much communication going on between the two parts of the brain. So there's a procedure called the split brain procedure. It's a surgery where they go in and they cut the corpus callosum. This way, the sides of the brain can't talk to each other, meaning that there's a lot less neurological activity going on in the brain, which reduces seizures and epilepsy. This is only for people with severe seizures and severe epilepsy. There are a lot of side effects, and one of them is that your right visual field cannot relay to this. You can't say what you see in your right visual field. It's weird. Look it up. But just know split brain procedure is for epilepsy, and it cuts the corpus callosum. Hope you guys get a 5. And if you want any AP psychology videos, please drop what you want me to do because I need to study. Hope you learned more about the brain today.